Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Adam.
Coming up on today's episode, we give our spoiler-free review of the 25th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Adam, 11th ring, Hummel.
It's not on my arm, Patrick.
We must move on quickly.
Patrick, the call is coming from inside the mouse, Kazuki.
It really is. It's always coming from inside the mouse. That's a weird thing to say out loud, though. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm suddenly uncomfortable about that phrase.
Are you more uncomfortable about that or the 11th ring?
The 11th ring, 100%.
Oh, I should just say Matthew just got home with groceries. Perfect timing, so you'll hear that in the background.
Oh, fantastic, Matthew. Quiet, or you can't go to Disney World with us. You can't go with us.
That's right. That's his punishment. If he starts banging around cans and soups and other items from the grocery store, we will have issues.
I like to believe that you're building a bunker, possibly, in your new home, and you're only getting canned goods.
Yes, that is exactly what we're doing. You got to be prepared, Patrick. Look what's happening in the world.
It's true. It's true. Although, fun fact, this is nothing to do with anything Disney, but I did buy a lot of ingredients for chili yesterday, most of which came in cans. Because it's time, everybody. The weather is changing. It's chili season officially.
Patrick, the call is coming from inside the mouse. Kazuki, shut your beautiful mouth. Matthew literally just got chili items this morning.
Oh my gosh, we're on the same chili cycle.
It's so fun when friends sync up like that.
I love it so much when we just like food-wise sync up. I like that so much for us. I like that journey for us.
Mm-hmm. When we're in a restaurant together in Disney World, Patrick and I also have to use the bathroom at the exact same time.
Never fails. Am I right, everyone?
And then you come back and your food's there and it's like a special little treat.
It is. It's a delicious treat. We're way off the map today, but that's okay. It's our podcast. Adam, however are you today?
I'm doing wonderfully well, Patrick. How are you?
Wonderful as well. I'll tell you what, I've made a severe miscalculation in the amount of caffeine I should have consumed today because I am wired.
Oh, I'm going to use a PK phrase. Buckle up, folks, because it is going to be a wild, wild podcast today.
It's true. It's the wildest podcast in the wilderness, brought to you by Irish Breakfast Tea.
I'm looking at his teacup, and it is in fact a teacup from the Teacups, the attraction in both Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Hong Kong, Shanghai. Isn't it in every park?
I know that Dumbo is. I don't think the teacups are, though.
No, I think you're right. If Behind the Attraction taught us anything, it's that the teacups are not in every park.
But they are fascinating. They're fascinating. They have that centrifugal force that is happening in the parks.
The science.
Obsessed, by the way. Obsessed with Behind the Attractions. I finished all 10 episodes already.
We just wrapped It's a Small World. I love how they're like conveniently just like throwing in other attractions to like fill out the episodes because there's plenty to talk about with It's a Small World, but they're also like, and by the way, there was also a World's Fair, and here's what else we're going to talk about. By the way,
There was also a World's Fair indeed. It's in every episode of the last 5 episodes. They talk about the World's Fair and how many attractions came out of that one 2-year period.
It's almost as if it was a real moment for Disney. Almost.
Almost. Not quite as significant as other days, such as last Thursday. I don't know. I'm making it up. But it was a good day for Disney.
That World's Fair was a good day.
A great day. Speaking of good days, Adam, we have a whole podcast ahead of us to get through. What do you say we jump into it? We have some serious topics to talk about, and we have some fun topics, and then we have a great main segment and a spoiler-free review. Let's get into all of it, Adam.
Let's do it, and let's start by recognizing us.
Who are we anyways?
Let's celebrate us and the fact that this is our podcast anniversary. It's our podiversary, PK.
It's true. We buried the lead, as we are wont to do, 3 years ago, Adam, we still have no idea what we're doing, but we had even less of an idea of what we were doing 3 years ago.
3 years ago, 50 pounds ago, in the wrong direction.
I was going to say, in what direction? Who can say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Every day's a different journey.
The wrong direction, Patrick. But yes, it is our 3rd anniversary. That means with next week's episode, we start year 4 of this wacky journey.
This crazy thing we call life, year 4 of it.
And if you've been a longtime listener of GDTD, you know that a podiversary show means that you get outtakes from the entire previous year after this episode.
It's absolutely true. You sent me a preview of said outtakes, and I absolutely just buckled over with laughter at how dumb we are sometimes, accidentally dumb we are sometimes.
And sometimes intentionally, we are absolute idiots, folks.
Absolutely. It was also a journey for me, a mental timeline journey of that was only 1 year ago. Like this past year feels like we have lived 64 timelines.
It's absolutely true. But I will say on our behalf, and again, this is going back to congratulating us, we are at a lean 4.5 minutes of outtakes. That means we're really upping our professional game, Patrick.
We're tightening things up. It's very true. It's very true. We had quite a year. We had some wonderful guests on the pod, amazing guests that we never would have dared to dream about. So thank you to all the people who have shared in this past year with us.
Yeah, we were really so fortunate. And for anyone who's listening who is famous and connected to Disney, we want to talk to you.
It's very, very true. Very, very true. Well, happy anniversary to you, Adam.
Happy anniversary to you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Moving on, Adam, we need to recognize and celebrate the life of someone that we recently lost. A great loss, I would say, someone who significantly impacted my life entertainment-wise. I'm talking about Ed Asner, who passed away this past week at the ripe age of 91 years old.
Ed Asner, who we all love, and his connection to Disney, obviously, is that he voiced the character of Carl Fredricksen in 2009's Up.
It's true. I imagine many of our Tweedles have revisited that movie this past week after learning about Ed Asner's passing away. Boy, oh boy, I can't get myself there right now. I'm actually really distraught about his passing. He has lived an extraordinary life. He has 7 Emmy Awards under his belt, 5 Golden Globes. Other than Up, he played one of my favorite characters in one of my very favorite TV shows that ever has happened and maybe ever will happen. I'm talking about Lou Grant in The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
That's right. That ran from 1970 to 1977. I have to shout out one of my favorite holiday movies ever, maybe my very favorite holiday movie ever. That's Elf. Of course, he played Santa, and that came out in 2003.
He, for me, is the Santa Claus. Like, he gave the best Santa performance in any movie I've ever seen, I think.
Probably the most realistic version of Santa. Like, he got angry.
Yeah. He was like, I'm old. I can't with this anymore. Don't have the time. It was great. What a wonderful performance. Such a true comedian and dramatic actor.
And Tweedles, just as an aside, if you don't cry when Buddy gets that sleigh working, you are not a human being.
It's true. You're fake. You're not a real person. Fake news for you. Fake news. Well, Ed Asner, we miss you. We love you. You will always be with us. You will brighten our days when we think about all of the wonderful performances that you gave us over the years.
Well, let's head back to last week's episode, Patrick, and let's talk about some feedback from your recent trip to Walt Disney World.
I love this. Let's circle back to us, please.
Yes, it's like one for us, one for the others, one for us, one for the others.
2 for us, really. Let's be greedy. We're in our 4th year. We're going on to our 4th year, Adam. We can take some more, can't we?
Absolutely, yes. So if you have not listened yet to last week's episode, please go back and check it out. Patrick gave a wonderful kind of report of his recent trip to Walt Disney World, including the kind of current COVID protocols. So if you do have a planned trip coming up, or if you're considering taking a trip, check out that episode. But we heard from Drew, who you can find on Instagram at Patrick, I never know how to say this. Is it DRubyCoFit or DrubyCoFit?
I believe it's DrubyCoFit.
DrubyCoFit. Because it's Drew. Drewby.
Yes, Queen Bee.
That's his nickname. Drewby. Drew says, Heading, hopefully, to Walt Disney World in November, curious how you felt about eating inside sit-down restaurants. Are they spacing tables, masks required except while eating sort of situation?
Great question. I guess I really didn't touch too much on this. Masks are required currently, as of this recording. Let's go back to that phrase again. Masks are required in all indoor locations. That includes restaurants until you sit down and are actively eating or drinking. I will say there were times during our meals that we were not actively eating or drinking, but nobody asked us to put our masks back on. So I think the general consensus is once you're at your table and stationary, you can remove your mask. I felt okay in restaurants. I felt fine. As you know, many Disney restaurants are very spacious and have lots of ventilation happening in them. And the tables are actually pretty already spaced out. So I think that you, depending on your comfort level, should feel fine going to a sit-down restaurant. I know I did. I felt very comfortable. So hopefully that answers your question.
That is great to know. And we should put that out there again. Any other Tweedles, if you have questions about an upcoming trip, feel free to reach out to us and Patrick will respond with knowledge bites.
Well, that was a knowledge bite, literally, about food, Adam. So well done there. Well done to you, sir.
And we should say, Florida's heading in the right direction, slowly but surely. It looks like COVID cases are starting to go down. You better believe I'm tracking that every single day prior to our trip to Walt Disney World for the 50th.
Things are slowly changing. Who knows what direction they're going to turn tomorrow? Who can say? But you know what? Just take care of yourself while you're in Disney and you should be fine. And speaking of which, Adam, what a perfect segue I've stumbled across. September. We are in September, y'all, which is Self-Care Awareness Month, and it also happens to be Suicide Awareness Month. I know that a lot of our LGBTQ plus listeners are aware of this, but suicide greatly impacts the LGBTQ plus community. I would say more so than other communities, unfortunately. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper into that, suicide actually affects our younger LGBTQ plus community members. I'm talking about the youths. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among all young people ages 20 to 24. And LGBT youth specifically are almost 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide compared to heterosexual youth. So it does impact our community quite heavily. So if you are someone who is in need of assistance, or if you know someone else who is in need of assistance, we do beg you to take care of yourselves and to reach out for help. There are so many resources out there. One specifically that I can talk to is the Trevor Project. It is a online community that is there specifically to help the LGBTQ plus youth in the United States and Canada right now as well. If you want to learn more about the Trevor Project, go to trevorproject.org.
So important that you take care of yourselves. It has always been difficult growing up as an LGBTQ person. I can only imagine how difficult it might be today with the added factor of social media on top of it. So yes, please take care of yourselves and take the time to really check in with yourself and make sure that you're giving yourself the attention that you deserve.
Well said, because you all deserve the best care that you can find and get your hands on. So like Adam said, take care of yourselves, everybody.
And one way you can do that is by sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the rest of this episode, and in particular, enjoying this very next segment, which we call This Week in Disney History.
That's right. This is absolutely self-care because most of you meditate and just sort of stop listening at this point. So what better self-care than that? So here's my gift to you, everybody. This week in Disney history, tune out now. 20 years ago, Adam, on September 9th, 2001, the Country Bear Jamboree in Disneyland closed its curtains for the very last time. After 29 years of performances, the bears were kicked out to make room for another bear. The attraction would be replaced by the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, who, incidentally, also evicted Mr. Toad in the Magic Kingdom the very same year.
So rude of Pooh, that twink who thinks he's a real bear, just kicking out the bears and a frog or a toad, or, you know what I mean. Yeah.
It's real discord in the animal community, really, when Winnie the Pooh comes to town. What
kind of animal do you have to be to say, no, I'm better than the country bears and I'm better than Toad? Get out of my way.
A confident bear. That's what I would say. A confident bear who's very into self-care, I imagine.
A bear into self-care.
Self-care bear. That is the new story written by Gaze Do the D. Moving on, Adam, 39 years ago on September 10th, 1982, a babe was born in California. This newborn baby boy would grow up to be the most recognizable voice around the world. Brett Iwan, the fourth official voice of Mickey Mouse, celebrates his birthday on September 10th, and we will celebrate with him every single year until he agrees to come on the podcast. Brett, we know you follow our Instagram page, so let's make this happen. And I also might add the newly married Brett Iwan. Brett, congratulations to you and happy birthday. Please come on the pod.
Do you think we would ever get him? I mean, there has to be some kind of like checks and balances by Disney before he does any interview.
100%. If you're friends with Mickey Mouse, I imagine we would have a better time getting into the White House right now than getting an interview with Brett Iwan.
But the offer's out there. The ball is in your court, Brett.
That's right. I'm not saying we're desperate, but we need you to continue our journey here on Gaze Do the D.
Absolutely. We're due for a real slam bang interview, and Brett, you're probably it.
Yeah, I think it would be it. I feel like after we get someone like a Brett Iwan, we should just hang up our microphones for good, right?
You heard it, Tweedles. So if you would like us to stop podcasting, it's essential that you reach out to Brett and say, why don't you go on GDTD podcast and talk to the boys so we can end this nightmare?
Oh, man, his DMs are getting filled up as we speak right now. Oh, dear. Well, moving on to our last item on This Week in Disney History. On September 6th, 1869, writer Felix Salten was born in Budapest, Hungary. Are we saying Budapest or Budapest? What do you say, Adam?
If Black Widow taught us anything, it's Pest, right?
Fair enough. Salten was the author of the 1926 book Bambi, A Life in the Woods, which of course was the inspiration for the 1942 Disney animated feature Bambi. Now, interestingly, Bambi was not the only Disney movie inspired by a Felix Salten book. Salten also wrote The Hound of Florence, a fantasy about a man who turns into a dog. Adam, any guesses on what movie this may have inspired?
I'm guessing, though, shock of all shocks, I have not seen it, the Shaggy Dog?
That's right. This was the inspiration for the 1959 live-action film that Adam has not seen, The Shaggy Dog.
That's amazing that two of his books have inspired Disney movies.
Two game-changing Disney movies, I might add. Bambi sort of changed the way that Disney thinks about animation and in real-life animals and things like that. And The Shaggy Dog really advanced special effects as we know them today.
Well, that's very exciting, and I hope one day that we'll be able to contribute to Disney's legacy like that.
I see it for us. I see us inspiring many Disney films to come. And with that, Adam, I close the vault door on This Week in Disney History. See, we're in year 4, and the sound effects are top-notch, everybody, top-notch.
Really upping our game. And speaking of upping our game, it's time to head into the Disney News.
We are going to up the crap out of our game in the Disney News, everybody.
Did you just say up the crap?
Yeah, it's a new phrase. Look into it. As we previously reported, as of August 25th, Disneyland's new annual passes, or Magic Keys, are now being sold. Starting on September 8th, Disney World's new annual passes will once again go on sale to new guests. The new annual pass holder program for Disney World will consist of 4 options that will offer, quote, the flexibility and choice to meet guests' needs, each designed based on pass holder feedback. The Disney Pixie Dust Pass will cost $399 plus tax, or $19 a month. This pass is for Florida residents only. The Pixie Dust Pass allows guests to visit one or more parks on most weekdays with an advance park reservation. Dates are subject to blockouts, including peak holiday periods. Guests with this pass may hold up to 3 park reservations at a time. The Disney Pirate Pass will cost $699 plus tax or $45 per month and is also only available to Florida residents. This pass allows guests to visit one or more parks on most days with an advance park reservation and is also subject to blockout dates including peak and holiday periods. Guests with this pass may hold up to 4 park reservations at a time. Next up is the Disney Sorcerer Pass. This pass will cost $899 plus tax and is available only to Florida residents or DVC members. The Sorcerer Pass allows guests to visit one or more parks on most days with an advance park reservation. This pass is also subject to blockout dates. Guests with this pass may hold up to 5 park reservations at a time. And lastly, we have the Disney Incredipass, which will cost $1,299 plus tax. This pass is available for anyone to purchase. The Incredipass allows guests to visit one or more parks per day with an advance park reservation and no blackout dates. Guests with this pass may hold up to 5 park reservations at a time. In addition to the number of park reservations that each pass allows, pass holders staying at select Disney resorts are eligible to make additional park reservations for each day of their resort stay. Perks for each of the passes include theme park parking and a 20% discount on select dining and merch. Pass holders will also receive discounts on tours, spa treatments, rounds of golf, and Disney after-hours events, and occasional but not guaranteed discounts on Disney Resort hotel reservations. Pass holders will also receive invitations to pass holder-only events, access to pass holder merchandise, and original content created specifically for pass holders, and a dedicated VIP support line. Now, one major change to the annual pass holder program is that water parks and sports and an unlimited photo pass are no longer included in any of the packages. However, both may be added to your pass for an additional $99 per year for the photo pass or the water parks and sports package. Anyone with an existing parks ticket starting on September 8th or beyond may apply the price of their ticket to the cost of an annual pass if they would like to upgrade. Current annual pass holders will continue to use their pass as they purchased it until the expiration date, at which time they will have the option to renew their pass into the new system at a special renewal price. Now, according to the website, pass holders will also be invited to special bonus parks reservations throughout the year that may be added to their current allotment of parks reservations. And there may be a few special surprises for pass holders throughout the 50th anniversary celebration. As of right now, there is no mention of a discount for the upcoming Disney Genie Plus reservation system. To learn more or to purchase an annual pass on September 8th, head over to disneyworld.disney.go.
Patrick, I don't have a fish in the game or whatever the saying is. I can't be bothered right now, but you are a current annual pass holder. How are you feeling about these changes?
They seem expected. Nothing really was a major change. I'm a little bit let down by the photo pass part of it. That was a pretty big perk that annual pass holders got, was just free photos throughout the parks on your stay, which to me doesn't really cost Disney much because there aren't very many PhotoPass photographers right now. A majority of the pictures are from rides, which cost $0 for Disney to do. So I'm not really sure why they decided to turn that into an add-on. It does. I mean, I know why. They want more money out of us. But it seems like if I'm going to shell out the money to be an annual pass holder, which I'm happy to do because I go often enough, I need a little bit more in the perks department, as it were.
Prior to this iteration of the annual pass, were there other levels that were for out-of-state guests? There were, right?
There were a significant amount of levels. Actually, I feel like there were 10 different options that you could do. There was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they were color coded. There was like the gold pass, the silver pass, and the platinum pass, I believe. And the platinum pass was the one that had the Photo Pass option on it and all of the discounts. And then I think you could do Platinum Plus, which also added the Water Parks and More option to your pass. So there were a lot of options. They just narrowed it down a little bit, as they did with the Disneyland passes. There are just fewer options, and they're pretty cut and dry. So it makes sense. It's easier for them to sell the tickets. As I said, I feel like I just need a little bit more. I want more. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I was surprised by the kind of condensing of passes and the offerings that the passes provided to the pass holders. But again, I'm not an experienced annual pass holder. I do not have an annual pass. So I don't feel qualified, Patrick, to fully comment on Disney's changes.
Fair enough. One thing that's interesting, I have never experienced this. Disney keeps on saying that you'll be invited to pass holder only events. Nary a time in my pass holder experience have I been invited to an extra pass holder event. So I feel like that's just them going, we can charge a little bit more if we make this empty promise. So I feel like on Gaze Do the D, we should also make some empty promises for becoming a Patreon member, right?
How often do we say this is going to be a great episode?
That is the emptiest promise of all, Adam.
The Disneyland Resort will once again transform into a merry and magical place this holiday season, Patrick.
Hey, Mary.
Hey, Mary. From November 12th through January 9th, guests will have the opportunity to experience seasonal entertainment, Yuletide treats, specialty merchandise, sparkling decor, and holiday transformations of select attractions. At Disneyland Park, Sleeping Beauty's Winter Castle will return, as will the park's iconic 60-foot Christmas tree on Main Street, USA. Also returning to Walt's original park, a Christmas fantasy parade where beloved Disney characters join Santa Claus for a merry musical celebration down Main Street, USA. Guests will also experience, yes, Patrick, pop-up appearances by Santa throughout the park.
It truly is the holidays.
Believe in holiday magic, fireworks, spectacular, and magical snowfall over portions of Main Street, USA will also be making the holiday season merrier. Additionally, seasonal transformations will return to It's a Small World holiday, and the park will celebrate the 20th installation of Haunted Mansion Holiday. At Disney California Adventure Park, guests will experience Festival of the Holidays and discover the sights, sounds, and tastes of a diverse season of celebrations, including Christmas, Navidad, Diwali, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Three Kings Day. Diwali or Diwali? Diwali, right?
I believe it's Diwali.
Adam, learn your pronunciations. Disney Viva Navidad will also return with characters hosting a fun street party featuring Mexican dancers and mariachis, Brazilian samba dancers and percussionists, giant puppets, and Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse in their fiesta best. At Paradise Gardens, guests can experience themed food and beverages, live music and dance, and later in the holiday season, Mirabelle from Walt Disney Animation Studios' upcoming film Encanto will make her park debut. Over in Cars Land, the four-wheeled residents will be pulling out all the stops with their holiday decor. From the snow-covered billboard at the entrance all the way up to the hubcap studded tree at the courthouse, guests will see automotive ornamentation at its finest along Route 66. And for a little more festive magic, two popular attractions will transform into Luigi's Joy to the Whirl and Mater's Jingle Jamboree. And the festive fun doesn't end at the park gates. Around the resort, traditional holiday decor and carolers will bring the holiday spirit to downtown Disney District and the hotels of the Disneyland Resort. And don't forget to stop by Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa's lobby to experience all the baked goodness of this year's giant gingerbread house. Patrick, so much magic.
So much magic. It's very exciting. Disneyland, in my opinion, though I have not seen it necessarily for the holidays, really ups their game for the holidays. Do you know what I mean? I know that Disney World does a great job as well, but I feel like Disneyland, everything from that you described just now makes it feel really magical, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think overall there are just more offerings at Disneyland Park. While Walt Disney World does a great job in making it feel really festive, I think Disneyland just adds that kind of special touch for those guests that come year after year after year, and is just part of their local kind of holiday traditions.
Also, Disneyland is a little bit truncated, right, as a park, as opposed to Disney World, which, though they have many, many offerings, it just spread out in a bigger area.
That's right. Yeah. So aside from like the decor, they can even like make it just a little bit more extra, a more extra experience for all.
I love that. I love an extra. I love an extra pop-up appearance by Santa Claus. I love it all.
I wonder if there's ever been an ise with a guest stopping by the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa lobby and taking a bite out of the gingerbread house.
I have a confession. I have been to Disneyland for the holidays just once and have been kicked out because I tried to eat the gingerbread house.
First and last time for you.
First and last time. Previously announced in 2020, this past week, Disney officially launched its newest digital destination, Reimagine Tomorrow. This new platform is Disney's first large-scale site dedicated to amplifying underrepresented voices and untold stories. The vision for the new site is to explore Disney's aspirations, track their goals and commitments, and see and read the latest news surrounding Disney's efforts around diversity, equity, and inclusion, all in one spot. A quote from Chief Diversity Officer for the Walt Disney Company, Latondra Newton: "The Reimagine Tomorrow digital destination will evolve as we advance our efforts. Our intention is to make sure every person sees themselves or their life experiences represented in a meaningful way." A key section on the new site is the Intentions page. Here, Disney outlines how they are translating their intentions into actions. For example, when it comes to content, Disney states their intention to have 50% of regular and reoccurring characters across Disney General Entertainment scripted content come from underrepresented groups by 2022. They follow this up with an action item in the launch of the Pixar Spark Shorts program, which is designed to discover new storytellers, explore new storytelling techniques, and experiment with new production workflows. On the main page of the site, visitors will find video clips and stories from cast members and fans, including a Young Creators Corner and highlights from the company, like the Disney Launchpad Shorts Incubator Program and the Fifth Key of Inclusion within the Disney Company. You'll also find recommendations of Disney movies, series, and specific episodes that Disney stands behind as specific instances of how they are highlighting underrepresented people and stories in their content. To check out the new website, head on over to reimaginetomorrow.disney.com.
That Latondra Newton, though.
I am a super fan. I'm a super fan of Latondra Newton.
It's amazing how she's really taking these giant strides and leading the company towards really fine-tuning and broadening, does that even make sense, their messaging when it comes to diversity initiatives.
It does. It's interesting. They're both broadening it and getting really specific and nuanced in it as well. Before they were, and greatly so, saying, we have intentions, and now they're going, and these intentions are so specific, and here's how we're doing them now. It's really great to see, and she is a superstar and a true leader.
It must be fantastic to have that kind of energy. I wish we had it.
My intentions are mostly food related.
Yeah. And naps.
And the action item is, let's quickly end this episode so I can eat.
Patrick, I have something old and something new when it comes to news regarding Disney on-screen entertainment. It's choose your own adventure. Do you want old first or new first?
Ooh, I want new. I want fresh first.
You got it. It seems that Disney is eager to bring back a beloved cult character and introduce them to a new generation. An August 30th Deadline exclusive reports that Disney is reviving The Rocketeer with a new Disney Plus movie titled The Return of the Rocketeer. Unexpected title.
Clever girl.
The original movie, released in 1991, was directed by Joe Johnston and adapted from Dave Stevens' graphic novel. In the orig, which made close to $47 million at the domestic box office and became a fan fave for the studio, a young pilot stumbles onto a prototype jetpack that allows him to become a high-flying masked hero. Selma star David Oyelowo and his wife Jessica are set to produce the film, and David is expected to star in the movie. The Return of the Rocketeer will have an all-new creative directive, with the story focusing on a retired Tuskegee airman who takes up the Rocketeer mantle. So exciting, Patrick.
So exciting. I really loved The Rocketeer. I remember specifically seeing it in the movie theaters.
Timothy Dalton as a villain, I was really into it.
Super, super into it.
All right, that takes us back to something old now, Patrick.
Interesting, because that was sort of something old and something new in the same story, so I'm interested in what's even older than that.
Yeah, I'm really second-guessing how I pitched this news segment now.
I'm second-guessing a lot of things today, Adam. We're going into year 4. Let's just try it. Try it out.
All right, well, here's something old. Disney's recent attraction to live-action film Jungle Cruise has passed the 100 million mark at the domestic box office, and that means it's time for at least one more ride down that river, PK. According to an August 30th The Hollywood Reporter exclusive, stars Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt are set to return as wisecracking skipper Frank Wolf and intrepid researcher Dr. Lily Houghton, respectively, for a brand new adventure with writer Michael Green and director Jaume Collet-Serra also returning. Jungle Cruise opened July 30th to more than $35 million at the domestic box office and more than $30 million via Disney Plus Premier Access in its first 3 days, according to the studio. And even with the challenges created by rising and new waves of the coronavirus pandemic, the movie has remained a top box office draw. So it's official, Patrick. We're getting a Jungle Cruise sequel.
Interesting. I am excited. I imagine that you are apprehensive about this. I do have questions about how you teed up this story, though. How is that the old news?
Well, I mean, we've already seen Jungle Cruise, so we're into that world. We know about it. We've lived it. We're beyond it.
Oh, you keep me guessing, and that's what I appreciate about you, Adam.
I like to keep our friendship fresh, you know?
It's a strong word for it. Friendship, I mean. That's the word. Adam, it feels like but a year ago we were sitting right where we are now, cities apart, talking about a new movie that was going to be released, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and both of us going, I know a little bit about this, but not enough to even be dangerous about it. And here we are 1 year later, the movie has been released, and we have seen it, and we are ready to give a spoiler-free review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Everything you're saying is true, except for the fact that we were in the same city back then, if you can believe it. And that kind of goes back to pandemic amnesia, does it not?
I do feel like you moved 3 or 4 years ago.
It feels like once we started recording separately, I just moved.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for all intents and purposes, we may as well be in different countries right now.
Should we do that?
Let's try it out.
No, but you're absolutely correct, Patrick. It was so long ago. Neither of us really had any idea what to expect. We're not Marvel superfans, but we do have an awareness of Marvel. But this character, Shang-Chi, we didn't really know anything about him, not even how to pronounce his name properly, and we're correcting that right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in fact, 1 year ago, we were saying Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which, you know what, fair enough. A lot of people want to pronounce it that way, and this movie gave a very clever reminder to us in the movie itself that we are all pronouncing it incorrectly, and to please pronounce it correctly.
We just can't escape our Midwesternisms. Like it has to be the ugliest sound possible. Shang.
It's true. It's true. We need to get that nasal sound in there.
We seek it every day of our lives. Yes, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the newest addition to Marvel's cinematic universe. An origin story, Patrick. It's been a while since we've had an origin story.
Indeed, indeed. Though not the origin story of the Ten Rings itself, but the origin story for this character coming into his powers. And we should say this is, in fact, the 25th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Quite a historic event.
Only in theaters, folks. If you think you can watch this on Disney Plus with Premier Access, you have to wait a bit longer. In about 40 days, they're going to release it on Disney Plus with Premier Access. So if you want to wait and hold out, this is a spoiler-free review, folks. So feel free to keep listening. We understand if you just want to jump ahead to Quick D. Not sure why you would, but you can do that.
You can absolutely do that. You have permission from us. I will put a plug out there. Assuming you have the comfort level to go to a movie theater right now, I do highly recommend seeing this movie in a movie theater. I guess I recommend seeing every movie in a movie theater. Let's keep movie theaters employed and all those wonderful establishments running. But this movie is so delicious, in my opinion, in the sound, in the visual effects, in everything. It's bigger than life, as a Marvel movie generally is, but it behooves you, Adam, to see it in the theater, I imagine.
It does. This marked my dramatic return to the movie theater. I don't know if I would have gone to the movie theater had this been available on Disney Plus, but Disney said, Adam, it's time. You have to go back to the theaters. And you're absolutely right, Patrick. This is so action-packed. It's such a grand movie. Big scale. We're talking about big story elements, as you would kind of expect from a Marvel movie. So it is a great one to see in the theaters. So if this is your first trip back, what a way to go back to the theaters.
All right. Well, I like what you're saying right now, which makes me sort of want to jump feet first into some first opinions, some initial opinions on this movie. Adam, was Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings worth you going back to the theaters for?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I really enjoyed this movie. It was fun. It was funny. It had some great family dynamics built into it. It had tremendous action sequences. I mean, like stuff I'd never seen before. Don't know how they did it. So it really does offer a lot. It's like a visual feast for the eyes, Patrick.
It was a visual feast. It was absolutely that. And some delicious topless moments from our lead character, Shang-Chi. Well done, sir. Well done to you.
Simu Liu, call me, please. I mean, I don't think you are of a gay persuasion, but let's chat about that.
What a delightful person. I have been reading a lot of interviews that he's given as well, and I want to know more about him. He is a very interesting, very well-spoken, and not afraid of his opinions kind of a man.
Not afraid of showing off that body.
If you've got it, flaunt it. That's what I learned from the producers.
So, Patrick, what did you think about it?
I really enjoyed it. I really, really liked it. It was, if this is your first time back in the theaters, as you said, what an explosive return to the movies. This was, I would say, well, I guess Black Widow already happened as well, but this for me was the action movie of the year so far. It was so amazing. I really love sort of martial arts cinema. I really love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this was a great marriage for the two.
Totally agree. Yeah. And as we said with our review with Black Panther, there's something so special about getting an absolutely different dynamic, a different perspective than we've seen before in a Marvel film. And Shang-Chi really delivered on that front.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. A lot of people are comparing this movie to Black Panther in how we were delivered into a different world than we're used to for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is great. I think that's fantastic. Definitely, it's its own movie for sure. So it's I don't want to necessarily compare the two, but in that respect, I think that we can absolutely do that. My hope, my wish is that this is going to quickly get us into a world in which we don't have to have standalone movies for specific cultures and communities. It can all just be one diverse world that we are celebrating together as one, as opposed to an all-Asian movie, an all-black cast, and a majority white cast. Now we can just, everything can be together. That's my wish, that's my hope, that's my prayer for the Marvel Cinematic Universe and for movies in general.
They're definitely building in that direction, right? But I gotta say, I kind of like the peek into, a world that I'm not necessarily that familiar with. Like I have an idea about, Asian culture and Chinese history and things like that. But there's something really special. And this is coming from me as just like a white guy, but can you imagine like a Chinese American child who is watching this movie and for the first time seeing someone like them represented up on the big screen? It must be so amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I am a fan of it, and I'm a fan of employing and introducing the world to this expansive world of Asian artists who who a lot of us may not have known before, and some who are very well known and just need another platform to be exposed to the world to. So I'm a huge fan of that. And as you said, this is the very first time we are seeing an Asian hero specifically in the foreground in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. So that is historic. It's long overdue, and it's well timed that it's the 25th film in the series.
All right, Patrick, well, should we high kick our way into the creative team? Everything I'm going to be saying today is going to be related to martial arts. I'm going to use as many martial arts puns as I possibly can, because while I'm not physically able to contort my body into high kicks and punches, I'm going to do it with my words.
I like it. You're going to give us some cerebral martial arts.
I'll do my best. I can't even make that promise, people. I mean, who am I?
Your Adam 11th ring Hummel is who you are. Yeah, let's get into some of the creative team behind this film, shall we? Let's start out with our director, Destin Daniel Creighton, who was also the director for films like Short Term 12, I Am Not a Hipster, The Glass Castle, Just Mercy, and incidentally, he also wrote all of those films as well.
I loved Short Term 12. Did you see that?
I have not seen it, but I have seen Just Mercy. It's excellent, and it has my boyfriend, Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, okay. So you were there to support your man.
I was there for other intentions and happened to discover for myself this amazing director.
I can only speak to Short Term 12, but man, is that movie the exact opposite of Shang-Chi?
Yeah, but what an excellent job this man has done on this long time in the waiting film.
He can do indies, he can do action. Look at him go.
As I said, he also wrote all of those films that I mentioned. He's also on the creative team for the screenplay for this movie, Daniel Destin Creighton, who also wrote it with Dave Callahan and Andrew Lanham.
Callahan wrote The Expendables, Godzilla, Zombieland Double Tap, Wonder Woman 1984. Ooh, Dave, we have issues with that one. Mortal Kombat. And he's currently writing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2, very exciting, and we'll be working on Disney's live-action Hercules.
Very, very exciting. So here we have the writer who I imagine is in charge of writing most of the action sequences involved in this film. And then we have Destin Daniel Creighton and his writing partner, Andrew Lanham, who also worked together on The Shack, The Glass Castle, The Kid, and Just Mercy. So they're giving us more, probably, I imagine, more of the drama behind this film and not so much the action sequences.
I really like the screenplay, Patrick. There was a little bit of kind of like clunky exposition in the beginning that just kind of took me out of it just a little bit. Just some kind of dialogue, particularly in the family scene when then Shang-Chi is coming to pick up his friend Katie, played by Awkwafina. It just got a little bit, I don't know how to say it. Like it just wasn't quite as developed as I needed it to be, but certainly the family dynamic, and I'm talking about Sean's family, Shang-Chi's family, that kind of writing, that kind of familial relationship was so great.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that scene. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just liked the grounding of it, I think. I liked that we're getting sort of a look into these two families, these two Asian-specific families, and what their morning routines might look like, and sort of an everyday humdrum of it all, just a little bit. And then we get to learn more about this character, and some secrets are revealed, and I just like the slow burn of it, getting into the action sequences of it all.
What I really loved and pulled out of that scene, though, was the fact that it's so interesting that Latin culture and Chinese culture have a Day of the Dead. They both have one.
Yeah, I did not know that. I heard that and I was like, oh, interesting. I'm going to note that for myself. Good to know.
So a really experienced writing team behind this film. And like you said, Patrick, so cool that they had the kind of action writer and then the director, who was also the writer, and Andrew Lanham, who gave us more of the familial and quieter moments in the film.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I really do like the script, as you said. It gave us a really good balance of both of those things mixed into one. They're also dealing with a lot of story that they need to tell, and a lot of story that we have been waiting for a very long time. This film, as I said, has been sort of in the making for a very long time. It's always been something that the Marvel Studios has wanted to do. In fact, they put it on their list of top 10 stories that they need to tell before they're done telling stories, which they probably never will be. And this one, I think they were just waiting for the right time. And what a great time to release it. I think it's so needed right now, very specifically for the Asian community.
And so smart of them to take the story, this origin story that was absolutely problematic and not created by people of Asian or Chinese descent, and really turning it on its head and making it about a more authentic experience. It's funny to say authentic when you're talking about an action movie, in a particular a Marvel action movie, but there is a lot of authentic cultural moments in this film.
I think that's the right word for it. Though it is fantastical, right? And though we are getting a little bit of, I don't want to say fairy tale, but fantasy, right? And also an action movie. But that is very authentic to Asian storytelling as I know it. You know, obviously we're two white men commenting on a very heavily Asian influenced movie. But that is what a lot of people come to expect from Asian cinema, as it were. Some of these really fantastical, really beautiful elements from Chinese and Asian at large culture. And I think this might be a good segue into, I have to really give a strong shout out to our cinematographer, Bill Pope, who started out filming music videos, interestingly, for Rod Stewart, Sting, The Bangles, Metallica. And then he went on to work on these major movies like Army of Darkness, Clueless, and then, of course, The Matrix franchise, and also Spider-Man 2. So we are getting a very experienced cinematographer, and you can really see that in a lot of the scenes that were created for this film. Specifically, a lot of Matrix camera tricks that were used in this, that were invented, I think, for the movie The Matrix. So he is a wonderful cinematographer and was well used, I thought, in this movie.
That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because if he started off filming music videos, which is so like percussive and responsive to the music, the same can be said of these martial arts sequences, you know, where you really need to know where the camera's going to be positioned and how you're going to be portraying these incredibly detailed action sequences. So it does seem like he'd be a perfect fit for this.
And he was, in my opinion, anyways.
I have notes, but we'll get back to that. Just kidding. Great. I have no idea how you would even film some of those action sequences. Wow.
Yeah, really incredible.
Well, let's get into some of the cast members, Patrick. Who really popped for you? Who did you love? Who high-kicked your way into their heart? I did it again.
You've done it again, Adam. You've done it again. I mean, the entire cast was so wonderful and so well-placed. I felt like every single person in the movie, and maybe you don't feel this way, but was just well-placed in this movie and so well-written and fleshed out. And I wasn't lacking any storyline, I think, for everybody. I felt like I knew where everyone was coming from, and that holds great regard for both the writing team and for the actors themselves. I feel like everyone really gave a really beautiful performance for this movie.
I agree for the most part. I think that we kind of fell into the issue, and this is a broader kind of Marvel problem, where a lot of the supporting cast, and we talked about this in our Black Widow spoiler-free review as well, a lot of the supporting cast maybe came off more interesting than the lead character. So I was more drawn to the performers who were surrounding the lead character. And part of that could just be the fact that maybe Shang-Chi wasn't as developed as a character, and that he has to be a little bit more stoic and reserved because he is the lead character and the quote-unquote hero of the piece. But another side of that may be, too, that Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, isn't that experienced when it comes to film. He's a martial artist, for sure. But when it comes to, like, leading a film and performance, acting, he doesn't have that much experience on his resume.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. I actually would say, for me, I don't know that he was outperformed. I hear what you're saying in the story of it all, and I think you were sort of alluding to this a little bit. When you are the lead character of an action film, sometimes your story is about learning especially in an origin story. The character is sort of learning as he goes and learning about the other characters, and so they may have more backstory than he does right now, and we may get more of this backstory later on in a series or certainly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to come. So I see what you're saying, but I also feel like he absolutely held his own in this movie and did a wonderful job and was captivating to watch for me.
So beautiful, so talented, so physically incredible. Like, the stuff he was doing on screen was amazing. And you're right, it could just be the writing itself. I just wanted more from him, particularly early on in the movie when he was kind of in his slacker phase and kind of, had these more doofy moments with Awkwafina. I just wanted a little bit more character from him before he took on the mantle of Shang-Chi.
Got it. I disagree. I actually really, you know me, I like somebody who is just sort of grounded. I need a grounded character. And because you're acting next to Awkwafina, who is larger than life and is doing all of that heavy lifting, I liked the juxtaposition between the two of them. And I could really see the chemistry between them because he wasn't a wacky character. He was just sort of a grounded character who was learning as he goes. And she was providing all of that wackiness that I needed, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Awkwafina was definitely at peak Awkwafina in this film.
She was. Although, I will say, she was a little reserved for, I'm used to I'm thinking Awkwafina in Crazy Rich Asians, right?
Yeah.
Where she was just let go and just could do anything she wanted to do. And in Nora from Queens, where she's Awkwafina. And this time around, yes, she gave us what we wanted from her, but she also was able to give us a really lovely, nuanced story as well in her character, and a deserving character as well, who I want to see more of in the films.
I hope she continues to push herself in this direction, because it was really great to see her in these more nuanced moments, particularly later on in the film when things get quite serious. It was great to see her be much more grounded than we've ever seen her before. So hopefully in the movies going forward, yes, of course, she will have the very lighthearted, that Awkwafina scream is going to be in every single thing that she ever does, because she has that great, wonderful kind of raspy voice. But it's so fun to see her have these smaller moments in movies.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to also call out Michelle Yeoh, who played Ying Nan in the film. Boy, oh boy, I could watch her just walk around the house. You know what I mean? Like, she is so poised and lovely, and I don't know how to describe her. She's just otherworldly, I feel like, when I watch her in movies. She's so captivating. I'm going to say that word so many times during this episode, but she really, like, anytime she was on screen, I was watching what she was doing, for sure.
Well, she's a queen, Patrick. She's an absolute queen.
She is, yeah.
She is clearly so regal. She is at the pinnacle. She is so talented, so mesmerizing. Like, you just cannot take your eyes off her when she's on screen.
And she was also in the groundbreaking Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So, her history with these amazing films and amazing characters goes quite far back. And we should note that she is going to be in the upcoming Avatar films for Disney.
Do we know what character she's playing yet?
She's playing a character named Dr. Karina Moog. So I don't necessarily know exactly who she's going to be, but I imagine she'll be quite a heavy hitter in the films, because she's in, I think, most of them that are upcoming.
All I wanted to know was that we were going to see her in human form. I don't care if she becomes an avatar, that's great, or if she assumes the body of an avatar. I don't know how it works, folks, but I just want to see her as Michelle Yeoh playing a character.
Fair point.
We already mentioned, Patrick, the family dynamic in this film, and that's brought on by two actors who are exceptional in this movie, Tony Leung and Munger Zhang.
Two wonderful, wonderful performers and movers and captivators and storytellers. Boy, Tony Leung is giving Simu Liu a run for his money when it comes to the HOTS department.
So beautiful, that man.
He is so beautiful and wonderful as well. But his face is so kissable. You know what I mean?
And he's so nuanced in this film. You'd think, again, in an action film, you're not expecting nuance, but this guy is an actor in the sense that some of those scenes where, like, they're having dinner together or whatever, just the smallest moments, he's doing like 20 things with his face at once. You can see the absolute thought process going on in that brain of his.
Yeah, that's a really good point. He was what a difficult character to play. I imagine this character is heavy with a history and with intention and juggling so many emotions at the same time, and possibly going through a little bit of a mental snap as well, as we'll discover. That's not giving away too much, but boy, oh boy, he showed us every single thing we needed to know about that character with just like the movement, the slightest move of his head and the slightest like side look with his eyes. It was really lovely to look at. A dance he was doing with just his face, I felt like.
We can say he's the villain in the story, right?
We can absolutely say that he was in the trailers as both a villain and the father of our lead character.
But there's more to him than meets the eye. And Patrick, you're so right in bringing up his kind of mental health issues, because that makes him a sympathetic villain, which is something we don't normally get to experience in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that Marvel has started to go down that path a little bit of like, what is evil, what creates evil, what's a bad character, what's a villain, and is it their fault, and can we root for them still a little bit?
And this isn't a storyline that is new to us, essentially, because it is a power makes people corrupt type of story, you know, but the way it's handled in Shang-Chi is different and almost takes this very broad concept and takes it down to a very kind of siphoned look at it so that it's more approachable or more digestible, I guess, as you're watching the film.
Yep, that's a great way to say it. Well, let's complete the family circle, shall we? And you already brought her up, Menger Zhang, who played Shang-Chi's sister. Again, another, much like Michelle Yeoh. Boy, oh boy, I could just watch her exist in the world because she just looks like a dancer. Do you know what I mean? The way that she carries her body and the precision in which she moves is so beautiful to watch. She was great. This is one character I did want more from. They gave us quite a tasting of her past, but not enough for me because it was so interesting.
She was the most interesting character to me in the entire film, and you're absolutely right. I wanted more of her, and it's because the performance was so strong, and we didn't get enough of her backstory. We might be, who knows, coming possibly, but she was a standout for sure.
I like the way you're dancing around that, Adam. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited for what may or may not be to come for this character because there's a lot to explore, and I wouldn't hate it if we got a mini series maybe of the two of these children growing up. Do you know what I mean?
I would love that. I thought the children were exceptional in the film as well.
Absolutely. Again, heavy topics we're talking about when it comes to this family and the storytelling, and everyone handled it so well in that it wasn't. Marvel is kind of want to be over the top sometimes and wants to maybe make light of things so they're more palatable, which I understand. But I think they took the seriousness in which they were talking about seriously, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, there's some very complex issues that are dealt with in this film and surprisingly handled so well for a movie that packs in so much into 2.5 hours.
Absolutely. I know you had written down, Adam, in the notes, a call out to our fight coordinator and the supervising stunt coordinator. I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about them because the fight choreography is an integral part, almost a character in this movie.
So good. So the fight coordinator for the film was Andy Chang, and the supervising stunt coordinator was Brad Allen, who sadly passed away last month. But those two working in tandem together to create these amazing fight sequences. And in particular, Patrick, I'm wondering how you felt about this one. The fight outside of the glass skyscraper, I could not wrap my head around not only physically what was being done by the actors, but also just how effects-wise you film something like that when you're clearly producing it in a studio. And then there's also the reflection on glass behind them.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no answers for you, and that's fine. That's fine. I choose to believe it was just ancient magic that was happening right before our eyes, because that's what it looked like. Absolutely. Stunning, groundbreaking work. I want to give a shout out to them. And I wonder if, I guess we could do some more digging. Maybe somebody knows for us, if there was a dance supervisor involved in this movie as well, because with a lot of the fight choreography was actual dance choreography as well, which was a beautiful mix. Something that we had sort of seen before in movies like, I know this is cliche, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like Mulan, even the live action Mulan. But there was something very intentional about how fighting can also involve love in it as well. At least that's what I pulled from it. This sort of yin and yang of, when you have all this great power, what are you doing with it and how are you representing it? And it was emotional for me to watch. It was, I mean, like, there were moments where I watched it and I was tearing up watching these sequences. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of dance expert was brought in for certain sequences, because there are moments that are magic, so to speak, where magic is happening in conjunction with these very technical fight scenes.
Yeah. Just stunning. And the surroundings in which they were doing a lot of this was so beautiful. I just was, as you said, I could not wrap my mind around what it must have been like to create these scenes. Well, not to back up, Adam, but it's our podcast. I can back up as many times as I want to. That sounded a lot dirtier than I intended. But we talked a little bit about the history of this movie and how it was such a long time in the making. And actually, the film had been in development since about 2001, but production never really started until very recently, 2018. Stan Lee always wanted the story of Shang-Chi to be a TV show starring Brandon Lee, who was the son of Bruce Lee, who was the visual inspiration for the comic book character Shang-Chi. And in 2001, talks of a movie were in play, and then in 2003, DreamWorks actually had the rights to the film. Nothing ever came of it, so the rights reverted back to Marvel in 2005, at which point the newly formed Marvel Studios actually, as I said before, added Shang-Chi as a property that they would invest heavily in. And then interestingly, the 10 rings have been sprinkled here and there throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, specifically in Iron Man. We learned about them. And then, of course, we had the character of the Mandarin, who, though he was an imposter, was featured heavily in Iron Man 3 as an enormous part of the 10 rings. And then, of course, finally, in 2018, Marvel Studios was ready and fast-tracked this movie, which partly had to do with the success of both Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians, which were both released earlier that year. So they saw the success, they saw that the world was ready for this story, and they just hit the green light and ran full steam ahead.
And again, we said this during our Black Panther review, but it's just more interesting, right? Because we've seen the kind of classic superhero tropes over and over and over again. And the world is clearly hungry for these new stories told with a laser focus on the cultures that are represented in them.
And it should be noted, and I think that it's worth discussion, or at least bringing up, that much like Black Panther, unfortunately right now, because it is an all or mostly Asian cast with a heavily influenced Asian production team as well, the movie itself is getting a lot of flack from people that we do not desire to be a part of in the community. It's getting review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes a lot right now by people who just have negative things to say because, let's call a spade, because they are racist. And it's unfortunate that we're here right now and we're experiencing this, but it's telling of the time. We need this so much right now, and we need it to happen more and more and more so that the world can be exposed to what's already been here all along. I mean, I'm not being as eloquent as I want to be, but it makes me so angry that this happens, and it needs to stop. And it won't until more of these movies and more of these stories are shown around the world.
These dum-dums, these absolute dum-dums who did the same thing, as you said, with Black Panther. They did the same thing with Captain Marvel, where, a woman was in the lead and they couldn't handle it. I mean, come on. We're all smart enough to know that we can go to these movies. First of all, we can see the quality from the trailer alone, right? We know kind of what we're in for from the get-go.
Yeah.
But we are smart enough to know that we can go to these movies and have these experiences that teach us, even in an action film, so don't listen to these dum-dums. I hate them, Patrick. Go away, dum-dums.
Go away, dum-dums. You heard it here first on the podcast, everybody. Now, I mentioned before that Simu Liu has been out there in the community sort of raising awareness about this movie and really promoting the historical significance of it. And in fact, when Disney CEO Bob Chapek recently referred to their release strategy for this movie and the timing as, quote, an interesting experiment, the star subtweeted a rebuke saying, "We are not an experiment. We are the underdog, the underestimated. We are the ceiling breakers." And that really resonated with me. I was really proud of him for saying that, because though Bob Chapek may have misspoke, he's right in saying that, no, this community is not an experiment for Disney. This community is long overdue for their moment with Disney.
Is Simu Liu the bad boy of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
He is in my fantasies, Adam.
Yeah, I like that he's not afraid to call these decision makers to task and really let his voice be known throughout the process. I've seen other tweets from him too, where he's been very vocal and upfront about how appropriately defensive he is for this kind of masterwork that's been created representing Asian culture.
Absolutely. It just goes to show how careful everyone needs to be in the words that they use, because they do impact people. No matter your intentions, what you say has a ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I just also wanted to add, I've been doing a lot of this movie has fascinated me, and sort of the effect it's had on the community has been really fascinating to me. And Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, said something really interesting. I'll quote him saying, "The importance of being able to see yourself up on that big screen with a big superhero company logo and somebody that looks like you as the title character has always been important, is more important than ever. And honestly, as a white guy, was something I took for granted." He goes on to say, "I never thought Luke Skywalker or Han Solo looked like me, but I took for granted subconsciously that they did. Certainly more so than somebody who's not a white guy." So yeah, so important. We've mentioned it before. We've said it with many movies, the importance of seeing representation on film and how that impacts young children around the world to see themselves represented in these larger-than-life, amazing heroes.
Yeah, and if I may go back to the dum-dums for a second, it's also important for the dum-dums to see that representation up on the screen and draw the connections to the characters. You need to experience these films if you are a different race or from a different culture, because that's how you recognize how we're all connected.
In the great circle of life, it is a small world, after all, Adam.
Oh my God, so many allusions to Disney things. Where do we begin?
I think we've covered it. I think we've covered it all. We've fixed it. We've solved it.
All right, Patrick. Well, let's wrap this up with a roundhouse kick and talk about our final thoughts on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Let's do just that, Adam. Thank you once again for that martial arts reference. Yeah, all in all, I really loved this movie. I after the movie, I had that adrenaline rush that I get when I see a movie that I really love. And this happened very specifically with this movie. It's so beautiful. It is so well done. It's well thought out. The one misstep, and I don't even want to say misstep, but one thing that I had notes on, I guess, was it seemed to wrap up a little quicker than I wanted it to. There was a lot going on in the movie, and there's a lot of story to tell, and how do you cut it? I don't want to be the editor for a film like this, but I felt like the last half hour of the movie was a little rushed for me in the storytelling of it. That being said, it wrapped up beautifully for me. It was beautiful to watch the last half hour specifically, but it just went a little too quickly for me. But it did, as an overall movie, it reminded me how beautiful this type of storytelling is. It really harkened back to, I think I wasn't able to specifically say it before when we were reviewing the live action Mulan, but that's what I really loved about the movie, is that they stayed true to this very specific set of Asian cinematic storytelling, and they brought that into the story of Mulan, and I think that's what I really loved about it, and that's what I loved about this movie as well. It really stands itself apart because of that culture that we are not used to seeing, and I would love to see more of it.
I agree, and it's interesting that you bring up the end, because and, we can't get into spoilers here because it is a very, very big, as you would expect with a Marvel movie, a very big ending. But I would have liked to have seen it actually get smaller in the end and kind of go back to that martial arts place and have a bit more kind of hand-to-hand combat. I can't really talk about it more than that, but it got very grand in the end. And for me, it was just perhaps a little too big or too much. And I'm really hoping that as Marvel continues to produce these films, that they don't necessarily go the expected route in the end, with things coming out of the sky, or, let's maybe re-examine how we kind of wrap up a film. So it's interesting that you brought that up, Patrick. It's kind of a different perspective from my point, but we both kind of had a bit of an issue with how the film wrapped up.
Yeah, fair enough. I actually kind of appreciated, in the way that I appreciated Captain Marvel, that you just see this character go full on of like, these are my powers and this is what I can do. Here's the extreme of what I can do, because now they can pull back. But I do see what you're saying, because the more nuanced fight choreography, if you will, was a lot more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And so I can see wanting more of that.
Plus, just given his backstory, like the amount of training that the character went through and the kind of forced experience he had, I thought it would be interesting to have that kind of replicated in the big final battle. But that's just me having brilliant ideas over here. Marvel, take from it what you will, use what you want.
Great.
But overall, it was such an enjoyable film. It was such a treat to be back in the theater again, watching this big action-packed adventure, and then having these moments throughout the film where it was brought to this smaller family's struggle and lack of understanding of each other.
Yeah. If nothing else, I am even more so excited about what's to come for the next phase in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of it all, and specifically in how this is going to bring in the multiverse as well, because that is absolutely going to happen with this character and with this story. So it's all very exciting. I think that the best is yet to come for Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, now, Tweedles, we turn to you. We want to know your thoughts on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Please reach out to us. You can do so on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or you can always leave us a voice memo or an email at info@gaysdothed.com. The more I think about it, I did want the movie to pull back a little bit more at the end of it, specifically some of the clothing that Simu Liu was wearing. I just wanted him to pull back a little bit. Just really expose yourself in this film, I say.
Where is it written that while you're wearing the 10 rings, you have to be clothed?
And where those 10 rings are placed.
Exactly, Patrick.
Very that.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Adam.
We've come to the end of this episode, this epic journey we've been on. And now it's time for us to bring forth the D, the quick D.
The quick D in the end of our third year, Adam.
The final D? I guess this would be the final 3D. Oh.
It's Quick 3D.
This week, we'll be doing Classic Quick D. And for those of you that don't know, Classic Quick D is when Patrick and I ask each other a question we have not been privy to prior to recording. I almost didn't get through saying all that without taking a breath, and we answer it off the cuff. Patrick?
Yes?
Ask me your question first.
Okay, demanding. Well done. I like it. Well, Adam, as you may or may not know, Disney has once again begun their search for the 2022 Plan Disney panelists. These are volunteers for Disney who answer questions from the community online, questions about planning a Disney vacation. And Adam, I've signed you up for it.
Great.
And I already have sort of a rehearsal for you in some questions that you may get as a Plan Disney representative. Are you ready, Adam?
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
You really should be. Adam. All right, here are just some sample questions that you may get. So be prepared. This is just an interview that is just for the two of us and our 8 million listeners.
Absolutely being set up here. Okay, let's go.
All right, here's our first question. Howdy, y'all. I'm Chet from Dallas, Texas. What's the perfect ride to break up with someone on?
Wait, are these actual questions that people submitted?
Nope.
Oh. Did I just ruin the magic?
You did. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Chet, the perfect ride to break up with someone on is Dumbo because it's so short. You're just like, you go up, you're in an elephant, you say, I think it's over, and then you descend and leave.
Yeah, Dumbo is a good representation of relationships in general, ups and downs over quickly.
And usually one person is in control of those ups and downs.
And usually one person is shoving someone over to the side because of the force behind it.
That's right. So it really is a metaphor for any relationship. Chet.
Well done. Great answer, Adam. Great answer. Concise. I'm scoring you as we go as well.
Yeah.
And specific. And you have represented the parks very well, Adam, by implementing and talking about a specific place within the parks. So great. Well done to you. Moving on to the next question, Adam. Good day. I'm Pip from Sydney, Australia. Where's the best place to snag a hot Disney daddy?
Well, Pip.
These are all real people.
First of all, congratulations on surviving that Dickens novel you survived.
Don't get sassy. These are paying customers, Adam.
Where's the best place to find a Disney daddy? All-Star Sports.
Excellent.
I think in general, I don't want to generalize, but I'm going to generalize. Dads don't want to pay too much for a Disney vacation, okay? So they're going to stay at the economy resort. They're going to want a sports connection because they feel their masculinity is being threatened by doing a Disney vacation at all. And so I think that's where you're going to find the really kind of hot Disney dad, the straight ones anyway.
It doesn't need to be. Dads come in all forms, Adam.
I know. That's why I'm saying the straight ones will be at All-Star Sports. So if that's kind of what's doing it for you, head on over to All-Star Sports. Now, if you're looking for a gay Disney daddy or a zaddy, I'm going to recommend the Beach Club or the Yacht Club because they are going to shell out that money for the quality experience.
Got it. Thank you so much. Well done to you. I'm going to give you points for speaking from experience, I imagine, Adam. And your last question, if you would be so kind. Top of the morning, I'm Alistair from Dublin. I'm obsessed with Disney and the Real Housewives. Where do you recommend I have dinner?
You know, this experience would have been vastly improved had you done accents, Patrick.
I'm not an accentsman. Adam. I'm just reading as though you would read it off of a computer screen.
Well, Alistair, as you know, the Real Housewives love to treat themselves. They love a quality experience. They will pay really for anything to be seen, to go to a place where you can be seen. Therefore, I would recommend California Grill. Or maybe you want to try the redesigned Citricos in the Grand Floridian with that new Mary Poppins theme.
I like these ideas. Well done. I like them. It's very specific. Disney wants those monies coming in. So, yeah, I really recommend some upscale places, Adam.
And I would just like to thank Chet, Pip, and Alistair for their wonderful questions.
Thank you, fellas. Thank you so much. I wonder if Teresa from the Real Housewives of New Jersey has a flip the tables in Wonderland card.
Oh, Patrick.
Do you see what I did there? Do you see what I did?
I absolutely see what you did, and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you ever so much. And thank you for your delicious answers, Adam.
Patrick, we're moving on to my question for you.
Fantastic. Lay it on me.
As you may or may not know, McDonald's has once again teamed with Disney to produce 50 iconic Happy Meal toys in celebration of Walt Disney World Resort's 50th anniversary. And Patrick, McDonald's has reached out to us as well, it being our 3rd anniversary, and creating 3 GDTD themed Happy Meal toys. What are those toys, Patrick?
I just want to be very clear. Oh, I know that it's happening. Believe me.
Are you just on a loop through the drive-thru at McDonald's picking up Happy Meals?
There is an alert on my phone when McDonald's Happy Meal toys change over to Disney toys. So
your cholesterol level is going to be through the roof.
Going to be. Well, to be clear, it will remain through the roof. That's for sure. Okay, so we are adding toys, oh dear, to the Happy Meals from GDTD in celebration of our 3rd year. Do I have this correct?
You have all the details exactly correct.
Fun fact, every 50th Happy Meal will come with a headshot and my phone number, actually.
Terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. And my stats and some nudes. A couple of nudes.
In a children's Happy Meal?
Well, it's going to be, these are adult Happy Meals.
Oh, okay.
Let me preface this with, we are expecting only adults. You have to have a valid ID of 21 plus to get a GDTD Happy Meal.
I feel better now. Thank you for clarifying.
I don't feel like I needed to clarify that, but since we are an unfriendly family podcast, is that a thing?
We're family friendly adjacent. We're pretty nice.
We come from families. That's about the...
All right. So in the first Happy Meal, we have your headshot, your phone number, and your stats and some nudes.
Yeah, it's a real value pack. But that is every 50th. So it's, you have to take your chances. You have to take your chances to experience all that glory. All right, moving on. What else do we have in our adult-only Happy Meals?
It does require that disclaimer now, yes.
It's true. And there's actually a question mark after the word Happy Meal. It's Happy Meal? We'll see.
Maybe these should be produced in conjunction with Halloween Horror Nights instead.
I like that idea. I like where you're going with that. Indeed. All right, what else are you getting in a Happy Meal? You're also going to get our new GDTD trading cards.
Oh, we're producing trading cards.
We're releasing some trading cards, absolutely. But they're actually just called trade cards.
Okay. Okay.
It's Disney dudes, topless, basically. So they're called Disney trade cards.
For those of you who are unaware, trade refers to hot people.
Yeah, fair enough. People that you just want to trade an experience with.
I like this. This is a viable experience for a Happy Meal, an adult Happy Meal, yes.
An adult Happy Meal. Those will also come with nudes of me as well, of course.
Okay, less into it now, but okay.
How very dare you? And obviously, every other Happy Meal, so you have to space it out, will come with a shot of whiskey inside of it. Who doesn't? Who among us doesn't want a 4-piece chicken nugget with fries and a shot of whiskey?
I was going to say, that actually sounds like quite appealing to me.
That's right. And you still get to choose your condiment packet as well. So whiskey with honey, whiskey with barbecue sauce, whiskey with ketchup, whatever your fancy strikes.
May I just ask, are we free from Patrick nudes in this Happy Meal?
Absolutely not, Adam. Absolutely not.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a bump and a rump, really, is what you get. That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See ya real soon. Coming up on today's episode, we have a discussion about fan-written Disney movie theories and conspiracies. And Ella decided just now to run down the stairs. Can you sit down? Sit down. Sit down or you don't get food this week. Okay. Well, Tweedledees, I can't recommend him. Well, Tweedledees, I'm discreetly opening a soda pop.
Oh.
That's what, my hands are under the table. That's what I'm doing. I promise.
Sure, Patrick. What is that twisting motion?
What's going
Interesting technique.
Oh, that's not news. That sounds like that's been there for a while.
Oh my.
That's old.
Since last week.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like Goofy as Bob Marley.
Jacob
I'm
Marley.
thinking Tiny Tim. Sorry. Let me say that again. Bob Marley. Yeah. Bob Marley.
I'd like to see that.
That's going in the bloopers.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Bob Marley. He's just smoking a big joint. No, okay. So let me take two.
All that and more on today's episode of Gaze to the D. Absolutely doing that again because my dog is a nightmare.
Just slap her.
I just have the intro to do, Matthew. I just need to get through this. I'm not blaming you.
I am.
I
am.
But Patrick is.
Get your head out of your ass.
That for sure is going in the outtakes. All right. Hi, gang. It's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we talk with Mike Van Eaton of Van Eaton Galleries. I'm going to murder her. I'm going to murder her.
Is she barking? I can't hear her.
No, she's like pounding on the door.
Oh.
All right. All that and more on today's episode of Gaze to the D.
Whack. We got Susan fucking Egan. Can you do it that way?
Coming up on today's episode, we chat with Susan motherfucking Egan. Did you ever think these two gay dudes would be talking to Susan Egan?
Girl. Oh, Jesus. Can you give me 2 seconds? I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I tripped on my own microphone. That's going in the bloopers.
We know that it's going to feature musicians from around the world and their kind of reinterpretation of some dicks. So Penny, she's having a nightmare.
I'm having one too. It's called Gaze to the D recording.
Can you hear her going, whoa, whoa? Penny, you're just dreaming. Good girl. Hi, gang. It's Pat. Why would I have done that?
Who are you? Stop single white femaling me.
Oh my God, Adam. Oh my God.
That's your name. That's the right one. And how
there's
is...
no
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. And how
there's
is...
no...
Okay.
Go. Hi, gang. It's Adam.
And Patrick.
We're back. You thought we weren't going to come back, but we came back, Patrick. Okay, I'll just do that again. Sorry.